Hello coaches and welcome to Give and Go. My name's David Newberry. I'm joined by my colleague Ian Barker. Hi Ian, how are you?
Fine, thank you David. Pleasure to be here.
Great. So this week and this session we're going to look at a new format for Give and Go. This one's called What Happens Next? And this is an activity that we've identified with 4 possible options. Those 4 options relate to an attacking corner. So as you can see here on this diagram, we have an attacking corner coming from the left-hand side of the field, crossed into the middle of the box where the number 9, identified here as the 1, heads towards the goal. That's option number 1. Option number 2, the player, the number 9, heads across the goal to the near post. Option 3, back across the goal to the penalty spot. And option number 4, to the top of the box. And the format of this session is that we'll describe all those 4 options and then provide you with some time to vote for which of those 4 options you like the best. So Ian, would you like to talk somewhat about the factors that the coaches may want to consider as they make their vote?
Absolutely, thank you David. So for the people joining us, please don't get too anxious about the answer. These are very much your preferences. There's no right or wrong. And I invite you to join me on Twitter to discuss more. But obviously, the pace and trajectory of the cross will determine the quality of the option and the decision by the guy receiving it, be it a driven ball or a slightly more floated one, as it looks like in this diagram. Are the players running onto the ball or are they in stationary positions? What is the movement of the goalkeeper and the defenders as the ball is served? And then what are the capabilities of each player technically in the red team in terms of receiving, first of all, the corner, and then the ability to get a strike at goal or some other type of finish?
Great. Let's now go to the first option, Ian, if you'd like to take on from here.
Sure. Thank you, David. So one of the little things to notice here is the movement that David has put in. So in this particular instance, if you look at the blue arrow there, the suggestion is that the red player has come and run to around the back of the defender. Sometimes you see on professional football, you'll see picks run in this situation. So the first thing to consider is that the number 9 player is actually backpedaling somewhat towards the ball to elude the defender, and the ball has cleared the defender, allowing the red player to out-jump the defender. Also note that the goalkeeper has obviously shifted from what would have been previously the near post and has moved across the goal. So you now have this moving goalkeeper. And then you have defenders inside both posts, and you have movement with the other central defenders. So you've got a lot of movement going on, and you've got the deep serve ball. And so the decision of the number 9 at this point is to try to head goalward. We can critique that decision, but the decision right now is the goalward or goal-bound header.
And as we're going through these, if you decide that we've presented the best option, if you'd like to send in your comments, we'll have a look at those and we'll consider those, as will your colleagues, when we get to the option to vote. So the second option relates to a head back and across the goal towards the near post, so in the direction from which the cross came in the first place. In this regard, consider a few things. Firstly, the number 9 is positioned somewhere in alignment with the edge of the 6-yard box outside the far post of the goal. The second part to consider is that as the ball is headed back across, the defenders quickly converge in and around the number 11 as the ball arrives. Now, as you can see here, the header is a downward header. It's headed with some velocity and some pace, so it gets there, but as the ball arrives, so do 3 defender. And as you can see here, as the ball travels across, the goalkeeper has moved very quickly to cover the near post. And lastly, we have 2 defenders that remain by the posts from the original corner, near post, and the far post, covering sections of the goal.
So the next option we're looking at now is the number 9 trying to play a different type of pass, if you will, with their head. So this time, instead of playing across the box to what we might consider the number 11, it's to play it to the penalty spot for the player running onto the ball, or in this case, is sort of already there. So the movement has been made. So this would be very much a timing type pattern. If the red player is receiving the ball pretty much as the ball arrives, so they've got there, then this defender has a tough time getting to put pressure on. Once again, you've got movement from the goalkeeper. Yes, you do still have the 2 players on the posts, and they may actually have decided to start stepping out. That's always a potential here. But that's a relatively square ball that the number 9 is playing. So square ball, we might critique that. We might see that as a challenge. But if the timing is good and the number 8's run or their movement to this position so that when they receive it, they're ready to strike it first time, it may actually eliminate this defender on the penalty spot and allow a pretty good strike at goal.
Okay, and option number 4. This time the cross has been received by the number 9, and instead of heading towards the goal or square, the number 9 now heads back towards the edge of the penalty spot, in fact onto the top of the penalty box, where the number 7 is running onto the ball for the opportunity of a first-time strike. One thing here defensively to consider is that the defender at the top of the box has quickly closed down space, nearly applying full pressure, not quite. And the central defender that was around the penalty spot has shifted across so that between the player on the post, the goalkeeper, the player around the penalty spot, and the player on the edge of the box, they've really managed to block sight of the right-hand side of the goal as the attacker sees it. On the other side of the goal, we have the player still covering the near post, who has shifted slightly inside to cover more of the near post. So those are the 4 options. And what we're going to now do is give you the opportunity to vote for which one of these options you think gives the best option and opportunity to score a goal. And I've just posted the poll question that's available now on the right-hand side of your screen. And please take the opportunity now to take to vote for the option that you like the best. And we will then reveal that in about a minute's time, which one you voted for, and also Ian is going to present his favorite option. Before we get to that though, Ian, and as people are voting, let's take a couple of questions. One from Tyler Davis, and ask what factors determine if you drive or float the delivery from the corner?
That's a good question. Thank you. Well, first of all, there'd be the technical challenges. So younger players, perhaps less experienced players, they might be able to float a ball or chip a ball, but the actual technique of driving might be quite challenging. So there may be a technical challenge. Depending on how the opponent defends the front of the box, that would be the edge of the 6-yard box confronting the corner kick. If there are players defending that space, driving it across, it may be cut out at the first opportunity. If you float it, you have the opportunity for sure of missing out 1 or 2 defenders. So that's a good option. A driven ball can be quite challenging for the goalkeeper because it comes quicker, and any kind of deflection can redirect it and really mess up the goalkeeper. So it's situational. It also relates to the technical abilities of your players.
Thanks, Ian. Let's take one more question because we still have a few votes coming in. This is from Julio Martinez. Asks, what options should I try if the players cannot reach the goal with the cross?
That's a good question. It probably means that the developmental readiness of the players for the playing format is out of sync. Why would we introduce the notion of a corner kick if players couldn't physically and technically get it to the space? But obviously, with the rule that allows the forwards a little bit of time and space, 2-player corner kicks could be good, and you could start to be creative. So you put 2 over the ball on a corner kick. You also introduce a 3rd player, and then maybe you play some 1v1, 2v1, 2v2 in the wing space, get a little closer to the penalty box before you try to get some service into the area. But it's a bit disappointing if we're playing in a format where the kids physically and technically can't do it.
Okay, so Ian, we're at that point now where all the votes are in. So in fourth place, the least popular with 0% of the votes is the number 9 heading back to the edge of the penalty box, which is option number 4. In second place, the second least votes, number 9 heads for goal. The second most popular is the number 9 heads square to the penalty spot, which was option number 3. And the most popular by 56% is the number 9 heads across the goal to the near post. And as if by magic, Ian, what is your option?
So my preference, based on the the 2D image, was option number 2, which is heading from here to this player. That is my preference based on everything I have in front of me. I will say that if this player had come steaming in from here and was moving onto the ball, then I quite like the option of heading to goal, because he's got a run on it and he's got himself inside of the 6-yard box. So I can see option number 1 based on the ability of the number 9 to attack it. However, what I like about the option number 2 is the ball is now redirected across the face. So you've got the challenge of the goalkeeper moving once and then moving twice, and you almost certainly have the challenge of the defenders moving once and then moving twice as well. So you've really started to off-balance the defenders and mess them about. You've also kept the ball across the face of the goal. So any deflection, any nick or touch potentially keeps the ball alive for all of our red players, because the ball, is in the critical area of the field. If, however, we do head down here and it's well cleared out, or we miss just slightly wide, we've lost our attacking opportunity. So again, I really like the fact that we tend to keep the ball alive. Again, I like the movement of the goalkeepers and defenders because it messes them up. And also the technical challenge for the number 9 is more now of a simple redirection. It doesn't require the accuracy that options 3 and 4 required. It just simply requires a much more let the ball come to you and then redirect. So I think it actually is technically a little bit easier for the player too.
Well, Ian, that's all we have time for today's session. I hope you enjoyed the new format of what happens next. If this is something you like, certainly let us know, and we will take some other scenarios. Just a reminder that if you are watching this through the webinar, you can download those 4 scenarios as a handout, and you can do so by just clicking on File on the right-hand side of your keyboard. So appreciate your time, Ian. Thanks very much, and look forward to the next time we are on Give and Go.
Thanks, David.